We're going to have all kinds of amazing information for you tonight. I'm joined with Dr. Stephanie Mahaney, and we're going to introduce her in a second. But I feel like gut health is something that we feel like it's just our bellies. We think it's just something that we digest our food with. In a time of crisis that we're going through right now, our immune systems are super important, and we want you to understand how important the gut is to that. And I'll tell you my personal story a little bit with my gut is I thought I was a pretty healthy individual until started having some gut issues and some kind of autoimmune conditions type things about 4 or 5 years ago. And Dr. Stephanie and my wife, Dr. Samantha, who's also a chiropractor, were able to really help me through some revived metabolics, functional detoxification, and combining that with the 5 essentials in chiropractic. So this is a really sensitive and very emotional topic for me, because it's also something that we went through with my son and all of our kids. And I'll tell you, every single person in this room right now, even though whether or not you have the symptoms or not, can benefit from improving our guts. Okay, so we're super excited about that. A little bit about myself, those of you who are guests, I'm a chiropractor. My wife and I opened Revive Chiropractic in 2011. We met in chiropractic school. I joke, that's the only time that someone from Michigan and Ohio State would come together. Was in a professional school. And we came here. I made her come back to Ohio. I wasn't going to open up a practice in Michigan. No offense. My mother-in-law is probably watching. So, but so we're here, and we became one of the largest natural healthcare clinics in the city, in the country. And so we do the 5 essentials. So if you kind of look over there on that wall, mindset, chiropractic, nutrition, detoxification, exercise. And so we are just like super excited about serving our community. And COVID-19 was one of those things where we really wanted to make sure that people had something that they could hold on to. With all the mandates that are going on out there, I feel like nobody's talking about health. And so we exist to bring hope, health, and wholeness to our community. And we're going to hopefully do that with you today. Dr. Stephanie?
Yeah, so my name's Dr. Stephanie, and I'll try and talk loudly. If you can't hear me at all, remind me, let me know, raise your hand, because I tend to be pretty quiet. I am a doctor of pharmacy, so I do practice pharmacy in my other job, but this is my passion. I got a fellowship training in functional and nutritional medicine. I had a lot of my own health issues that traditional medicine, the modern medical model, was not helping me with, and I became a patient, actually one of their first patients here. Started learning some great things, started making some changes on my own, really saw the needle move on my health. But it wasn't until I did the metabolics program with Dr. Sam, when she was in the office more, that it drastically sent my health in a different direction, which made me even more passionate, led me down that path. So this is also something near and dear to my heart, because it's something I've struggled with, something I'm working through with my kids now.
Good. One of our first patients at Revive, so yeah. Good stuff. Take it away.
All right, so the digestive system. We're not going to be able to cover it all. There is so much that we can go into with the digestive system. It's linked to our immune system, our neurological system, how it all plays together in our health, all the different studies that are out there, all the great things that you can do. We could go on rabbit trails and talk forever about it. So we're going to try and just give you the most important nuggets. If there's more information that you want, if you want to dive deeper into more specific questions, that's where meeting with me for a consult is going to help get you the information you need and get you the more personalized steps that you might be looking for. So our digestive system is the stomach. That's what most people think of, but you've got your intestines, your esophagus, your mouth, your salivary glands, your liver, your pancreas. You have immune cells that are actually in your stomach. So you have a whole host of your immune system in your digestive tract, which makes a lot of sense if you think about it. I mean, I will chew on pen caps. If you look at young kids, if you have grandkids or kids of your own, how much stuff do they put in their mouths? So of course we need to have some immunity in our digestive system to fight off all the junk that we get in. So our digestive system is more than just digesting our food and getting nutrition from our food. So a big piece of that is the gut microbiome. If you've ever heard of, the gut flora or the gut microbiome, what is that? There's about 100 trillion bacteria, mold, fungus that make up this whole environment in our digestive tract, in our intestines, in our stomach. Even our mouth has its own microbiome. Actually, our skin, our nose, everything kind of has its own microbiome of bacteria that serve a different purpose and function. So in a healthy microbiome, those good bacteria, which probiotics, that's what probiotics are. They're replacing that good bacteria in our digestive system. What they do is they make 80% of our serotonin. They make 50% of our dopamine, huge for our mental health. They help create some of our vitamins and activate them into the active form we can use, specifically B vitamins and vitamin K. They help fight off pathogens that we are exposed to, so they help keep us healthy. They even, when we're digesting our food, exposed to food and allergens, it helps our body and our immune system learn how they should respond to that, so it affects our immunity. When we have what's called dysbiosis, which means an imbalance of those good bacteria and the bad bacteria, when the bad bacteria outweigh the good, when we have dysbiosis, we see a drastic increase in the likelihood of having cardiovascular disease, diabetes, neurological diseases like Alzheimer's. We're more prone to depression and anxiety and mental health conditions. And there's lots of literature and studies out there that are supporting this now. It's been kind of a really new area of research in the past, 5 to 10 years that all of this has really come to light, and we're learning more and more about the connection of our gut microbiome into our health. So leaky gut, that's kind of how everything spirals down into causing health issues. So naturally, these cells here, the cells that make that first layer in our digestive tract, they're naturally created to open and close. When we're digesting food, getting nutrients from our food, those vitamins, nutrients need to go through into our bloodstream. So they need to be able to open or become somewhat leaky or permeable. But when, again, our toddler is eating dirt off the floor, or we're chewing on pen caps, or we didn't wash our hands, and so we get some microbes, pathogens, we need to make sure those cells stay tight. If we've got large undigested food particles, those cells, again, need to stay tight and prevent those things from getting through into our bloodstream as a protective mechanism. But what happens is all those things that are up at the top will make these cells stay in a permanently open state. So stress increases cortisol. Cortisol will cause those cells in our digestive tract to become more permanently open or stay more permeable. Toxins, which could be pesticides, plastics, heavy chemicals, metals, those will have the same effect. They will cause damage and inflammation, making those cells more leaky. Food particles, especially gluten, there's a lot of studies that show the way that gluten actually binds to receptors on the cells in our digestive tract, that it causes those cells then to become leaky or open. Drugs, any medication can have that effect, but especially antibiotics. Antibiotics don't just kill off the bad bacteria that is making you express symptoms of being sick. It also kills off that good bacteria and can create an opportunity for yeast and bad bacteria to become overgrown. Pathogens also can cause extra stress and lead to all that inflammation. So then once we have that leakiness, as you can see, things can just flow through. They're getting through to the other side, which is our bloodstream, which is where our immune system is. So we have large food particles, toxins, pathogens, all that stuff getting into our bloodstream, getting into our immune system, causing inflammation and immune activation. So it's activating our immune system. Our immune system's not used to seeing large food particles from your broccoli and Brussels sprouts or eggs and stuff come through. That's where you get a lot of food sensitivities, is because now your immune system is getting exposed to these things. It's like, well, wait a minute, what is this? Okay, I'm going to react. Then it's getting exposed to it all the time, so it keeps reacting. So you get this immune activation and kind of overburden your immune system. So an analogy I use is our bodies are like a bucket. If we're draining our bucket, if our bucket is able to empty itself on a regular basis, we're fine. But when we're adding a lot of things to our bucket, like we're adding a lot of toxicity, we're adding a lot of unhealthy foods, we're adding a lot of stress, our bucket just starts to fill up. And when we have an unhealthy gut, that really fills up our bucket quick because we have all that immune activation. And so then we're exposed to a cold virus and boom, our bucket overflows and we get really sick, sicker than maybe we would have had our gut been healthy, had our immune system been so activated.
This is the reason why it is that not everybody responds the same way, right? So if someone's bucket's super full of all these different toxins and all this different stuff, that's why you can put 20 people in a room, they can be exposed to the same virus. 16 will get sick and 4 won't. Why? Because not everybody's bucket's at the same level, right? So if we're constantly working to try to improve the health and well-being of ourselves by emptying our buckets, right? Then we shouldn't be scared about bacteria and viruses coming in, because really what God used for good, we can use that. However, if someone's really, their bucket's very full, they're going to get this kind of hyperimmune response. Does that make sense? We should be able to have dairy and grains and certain things every once in a while, but why does, some kids, even just breathe in tree pollen and they blow up like a balloon? It's like, 3,000 years ago it didn't happen like that. It's because our buckets are full of a lot of toxicity. So we've got to work on removing that. So, as we kind of transition into the gut-brain connection, like this is where I get really fascinated about, and why I think there's an amazing opportunity, and where I think, functional medicine and the Revive Metabolics program, there are a lot of people that might do gut health stuff, detoxification, different types of nutritional programs, but yet to combine it with somebody who's also going to affect how the brain affects the body, because your brain is in control of your gut, and your gut is in control of your brain. It's what we call the gut-brain axis. So what I want you to understand is that if you have a gut problem, you also have a brain problem. Okay, if you have a gut problem that isn't fixed, you'll eventually have a serious brain problem, like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, depression. I mean, I don't know if you heard her say that 50% of the serotonin, was it 50%?
50% of dopamine, 80% of serotonin.
80% of the serotonin that's produced inside your brain is actually manufactured in your gut. Do you know what serotonin is? Serotonin is the feel-good molecule that you get put on whenever you go to your doctor and you're anxious. They put you on an SSRI, a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. If you've got a toxic gut, you have a toxic brain. And so they're innately connected. Time magazine in 2012 came out with an article where they were studying these mice that were following around cats. And so these cats would poop, right? And these mice would eat their poop. And what's really crazy about mice is they have a parasite in them called toxoplasmosis, which is a parasitic infection that cats have. One reason why I don't like cats. Number two, sorry, Dr. Mary, for listening. But, so what they found was that these cats would just start playing with the mice, the mice would just start playing with the cats. And the cats were like, well, I've got a free dinner because they're not running away from me anymore. And what they found was that when the mice were eating the droppings from the cat, it was changing the neurotransmitters in their brain that was turning off the fear centers. And so therefore these cats had free meals. So what I'm saying is that the food that you put in your body and the way that you take care of your gut affects how you think, how you react, how grumpy you are, how nice you are, how loving you are, how you respond to your children, how you respond to your wife or your husband, vice versa. So it really is bigger. So there's this gut-brain connection. So we talked about stress. When a stressor comes into our body, like a pathogen or a pharmaceutical drug or any kind of drug, or hey, I'm stressed because I've got 3 kids under the age of 5 and I got urinated on last night at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm stressed. It's a real true story. I got urinated on. And so I was stressed, right? And so this goes into my brain. And so I have a direct connection with my gut, and my gut says, oh my gosh, I've got to do something about this. I've got to work harder. I've got to start to pull blood to my digestive system to go to work harder. And then I've got to produce all these different types of neurochemicals. And if I'm not doing it appropriately, then I'm just going to start creating dysbiosis, right? Which is AKA leaky gut. I'm going to start to widen up those gap junctions. And therefore, hey, the foods that I used to be able to eat, guess what? Can't eat those anymore. I used to be able to go outside and roll around the grass. Can't do that anymore. I used to be able to wear the sunscreen, but now I can't wear that sunscreen anymore. So I started to get allergic to things I didn't used to. Because that stress, guess what? You think stress is ever going to go away? So what's going to happen? We have to learn to empty our bucket. Because if we can't manage stress and we can't empty our bucket, then that bucket overflows, and we start to get all this symptom. And what is medicine's way of trying to empty our bucket? Give us more toxins. But yet, that'll never empty our bucket, and so therefore it'll manage our symptoms, but our bucket continues to be full. And then we start messing with our immune message. We started messing with our endocrine message. So we start getting all these different endocrine dominant cancers, and we start getting all the neuronal messages. So Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's. I was just reading a really interesting research article in Cell Journal, 2015. They're actually taking Parkinson's patients and they're going inside their gut and they're finding these Parkinson-specific pathogenic microbiome that is actually creating these toxic chemical pathways in their brain. So they're finding that individuals who have Parkinson's, they also have a very, very toxic gut. And so my thinking goes, well, what if we would have got to that person early? Like, right, the choices that we have now is at 12 years old will affect us when we're 62 years old. Does that make sense? So, everybody can get away with eating a Happy Meal every once in a while, but if I eat a Happy Meal every single day, you got to understand these are the individuals that have some pretty serious health issues. This was a really awesome research article that I found. Leaky gut is a leaky brain. Okay, so we talk about toxic gut, toxic brain, toxic brain, toxic gut. Well, leaky gut, or if you go to your medical doctor, it's called increased intestinal permeability, right? AKA leaky gut, which is where you're not absorbing any of the nutrients. That goes right into your bloodstream. It crosses what we call the blood-brain barrier, which means it directly impacts your brain. So this is the Journal of Molecular Science and Autism in 2016. So what we're finding is that autistic children have destroyed guts. Okay, so I've never seen one autistic child ever in my clinic or in any clinic I've ever seen didn't have some type of a extreme gut problem. And what they found in the study was that in autism spectrum brain, there's an altered expression of genes associated with the blood-brain barrier and the integrity of the gut. So what was happening is that these kids' guts are so destroyed that it's actually altering the expression of certain genes inside their body. Right? So who has ever been told you have a family history? Well, you actually have a family history. You have a genetic predisposition, which doesn't mean that you're predestined for death. It just means that you have a predisposition, which means that you have genes, and if you have a toxic gut and a toxic brain, you're going to turn on those bad genes. Okay, so I've got cancer and heart disease in my family. Do you think I'm worried about getting heart disease or cancer? No, because if I'm turning on good genes, I should be expressing things differently versus somebody who's got a bad lifestyle. Does that make sense? But really, really interesting research article and why it's super important to have how a gut can affect brain learning disabilities. They say that 5 in 10, out of 10 children today, 5 of them will have some type of learning disability. And we're finding that more and more children have gut issues on a regular basis. As a chiropractic patient, I often find that people come into our office seeking pain, like seeking. I want to feel better, right? Who here wants to feel better, right? Who here, no longer wants to have headaches and neck pain and joint pain and wants to wake up in the morning feeling great, right? So, but here's the reality. So, the chiropractic adjustment is very, very powerful, which I'll talk about here later, and why we do chiropractic. But here's what I want you to understand: if you've got a toxic gut, Dr. Stephanie talked about this leaky gut and that inflammatory pathway that's created because of a poor digestive system health, or if I'm exposed to things like gluten and dairy, processed sugars and things like that. Well, here's what happens. It doesn't just affect your belly. It doesn't just affect your hips. It just doesn't affect your skin. What it does is it actually degenerates the cartilage in between your joints. Right, so who here knows somebody who's had some of a knee or hip replacement or something like that, right? So we drink more milk than any other country on the planet. We have the highest rate of bone fracture. So 1, milk does not do a body good, and 2, we consume too many carbohydrates and sugar, and it's destroying our synovial joints and the cartilage within our joints. So you've got these things in your body that whenever you're exposed to a ton of inflammation from sugar and processed stuff, and your gut can't break it down, It's called accelerated glycolytic end products. And what this does is this is a spine, and you can actually see the spinal cord and the discs in between your spine. So this is a person who's like, wow, I've never had an x-ray of my spine. I feel pretty good. And then I go over your x-ray with you and you're like, oh my gosh, like why is my spine degenerating like that? Like it's like a cavity in your teeth. I mean, you can see that your teeth, but you can't see your spine. It's because you've had this inflammatory process within your body and it's wearing down the joints, the joint space, the cartilage within your knees. Did you know that if you didn't have inflammation, if you didn't have a gut issue, if you were living a healthy 5 essentials lifestyle, I mean, your knees aren't going to go bad. Like your hips aren't going to go bad, right? But the reality is that we all make, on a regular, or maybe even before here, 25 years ago, up to this point, we've been making some pretty bad lifestyle choices that's creating that inflammatory process. So that's why in our office, we want you to eat healthy and get adjusted. That's why we want you to take, good healthy supplements and get adjusted. That's why we want you to exercise. Not because I want you to necessarily feel better, but I want your joints to last. Does that make sense? Because a hip replacement won't fix why it is that 25 years of bad diet and inflammation. What's going to happen if you replace one hip but you don't fix that? The next hip, and then the next knee, and the next shoulder, right? So we're going to dive into the 5 essentials. So what can we be doing with the 5 essentials? And really, we're not going to hit on all these today. We're going to hit on kind of the high points, but this is what we focus on in our office. And so from a gut health standpoint, how can the 5 essentials be a bulletproof system to be able to give you 90% of what you need, right? The other 10% of you that are in a pretty nasty spot right now, I want you to cling close to Dr. Stephanie today. But what we're going to go through from here on out is going to bless you guys tremendously, right? If you take this home, you take some notes home, and you start to implement about 50 to 60% of what we're going to give you, you're going to be doing really, really well. First concept I want to talk about is just mindset. So I've been really, really big on buffalo and bison as of lately. Not only do I love to eat buffalo and bison, but I just love the animal itself. Does anybody know why me personally, why I would like to, in this particular time of struggle and need, why the bison would be something that I would want to use as an analogy? Yeah.
What are the lean content in the meat that has more?
Besides the nutritional concept, like that's totally true. Totally true. The reason why it is that I want to focus on this as an analogy is that bison, there are 2 different types of people in this room. There are 2 different types of people in this world. There are bison and there are cows. Okay, bison and cows are from the same gene makeup. Okay, they're from the same gene lineage. However, when they're exposed to stressful situations, when the storm hits and the crap hits the fan, they do the opposite. Cows, when they smell or they hear or they feel a storm coming, they run in the opposite direction. Like they run away and they seek shelter. And what scientists have been saying is that when the storm they actually chases the cow. So they actually spend a longer amount of time in the storm, in chaos, than if they would have just hit the storm head on, right? Versus bison, whenever they're in a pack and they feel a storm coming or there's like this massive snowstorm, they charge head on right into it. And what they find is that they may go through absolute hell in the beginning, but they actually spend 1/10 of the amount of time in the storm versus the cow that spends way more time in it. So in this time of struggle, I want you to know something. You've got to attack the storm. Those who are going to kind of cower back are going to be the ones that are going to be stuck in it for longer. We can't control a whole lot of things right now. But the one thing that we can control is our health. And I'll tell you, the people that stand back and are like, yeah, I'm just going to wait until the last minute, a big storm comes. And then all of a sudden, I'm not prepared to do that. So when it comes to your health, attack it. Okay, attack it and have a pack of people around you that can help go through the storm. Does that make sense? The other thing they find about cows is they isolate themselves. Not only do they go towards or away from the storm, but they isolate themselves and they cower. Versus, hey, I'm going to go in a pack and I'm going to go into the storm itself. Right? Make sense? So we're going to go through some nutritional type stuff. Dr. Stephanie is going to lead this. 3 things that we want to do today to be able to build a healthy gut and therefore build a healthy brain. Number 1, some foods that we're going to avoid, which we all hate, right? What are the things we're going to avoid? Okay. Number 2, what are we going to replenish with? And then number 3, what do we have to supplement with in order to be able to have a healthy gut?
First section, avoid. Anybody want to take a guess at something we need to minimize and avoid?
Sugar.
Sugar, yes, sugar. So one of the big reasons we want to avoid sugar is it puts a lot of stress on our body. It weakens our immune system. So if you're sick, trying to fight off a cold, you want to strengthen your immune system, you want to avoid sugar. But sugar also feeds the bad bacteria and yeast in your digestive tract. If you've ever heard of candida overgrowth, they love sugar. That's what they feed off, is unhealthy carbs. So if you have this dysbiosis or overgrowth and you're eating a lot of sugar, you're just feeding that. So it makes it harder to kill them off. So we want to avoid sugar. Anyone have a guess for anything else that we want to minimize or avoid?
Gluten.
Yes, gluten. Like I had mentioned before, how it binds to the cells in our digestive tract, it makes them leakier. Gluten is also a really inflammatory molecule in and of itself. If you're eating wheat products that are not organic, you're getting a lot of glyphosate with that as well, which is a pesticide that's been linked to cancer. I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing a huge rise in digestive cancers, colon cancers, is because of all the glyphosate in wheat products. You're getting a double whammy with gluten. And
Roundup.
yeah, that's what
Roundup weed killer is what they spray on most all of our crops, our wheat. That's what we're getting into our food. And so that's directly being linked back to cancer. Roundup weed killer, they spray it on all of most gluten and grain products.
So yes, gluten is something we want to minimize and avoid. Anybody else have another guess?
Processed dairy.
Yes, processed dairy and conventional animal products in general. So when we say conventional, we mean it's not organic, it's not from an animal that was raised on a pasture, that was grass-fed. Conventional means they were exposed to hormones, antibiotics. They're going to have more of an unhealthy fat in their animal products, but they also have the antibiotics. And there is enough antibiotics in those food products to affect your gut microbiome and to start killing off and weakening those good bacteria that you need to stay healthy. We got a few more things here. Artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners are really neurotoxic to your brain, but they do also negatively affect your gut microbiome. Alcohol. A lot of alcohol can have a lot of sugar. Beer has gluten in it. It's not good. However, there are some healthier options. You can get good quality wine. If you're drinking that in a moderate amount, it's actually shown to be beneficial for your health. So everything in moderation, looking at quality of foods is important, and don't stress out and get overwhelmed about all this stuff that you're supposed to avoid and cut out. Luckily, this day and age, it's not 5-10 years ago, there are so many more options. There's all kinds of gluten-free alternatives with different flours. You can get pizzas made with cauliflower crust, almond flour crust. There's lots of great, if you can't tolerate dairy, even if it's a good quality dairy, there's lots of great alternatives. And that's one thing I love to do and that I'm here to help with is, I love a good challenge. I love when someone says like, well, this is really like, I just love pizza. I don't think I could ever find pizza that is going to taste as good. I like the challenge. I like to help and give people new recipes, new things to try, brands to look for. So if you feel like you need help with your diet, you're kind of overwhelmed by, oh my goodness, how am I going to make a change to help my gut health? I'd love to sit down and chat with you and get you a good plan. So replenish, things that we need to replenish. Good healthy fats. Fat makes up the membrane of all our cells. It helps heal any damage and leakiness that has been created in our digestive tract because of dysbiosis. And now when we say healthy fat, that's going to be like your coconut oil, your avocado oil, your omega-3 fish oil supplements. Olive oil is a good oil, but it's one you don't want to heat. That's the biggest thing with like your canola oils, your vegetable oils. When they're heated, they turn bad quickly. They go rancid very quickly. They even will go rancid pretty quickly just on the shelf. So that's why we recommend staying away from canola oil, vegetable oils. They're more inflammatory. So you want to replace good healthy fats: avocado, coconut oil, olive oil.
Your grass-fed beefs,
Grass-fed, yeah.
your wild-caught fish, your pasture-raised eggs. Like,
Yep.
eat the whole yolk. Don't throw the yolk out.
Don't need to do just whites.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's the big thing is that we've got a fat phobia. Like fat's going to make you fat. Fat's bad for you. But if you really want to heal your gut, if you want to have a good, healthy gut diet, like you have to understand that fats are super good, which is why bone broth is such a good gut rebuilder. And so that's a big thing with the Replenish piece is that somebody who ignores the fat, it's really difficult for them to heal their gut. Yeah,
for sure. So fermented foods, we want to increase our probiotics. So sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha are all great fermented foods that have a lot more probiotics in them. Some yogurts, even depending on the quality that they are, if they're organic. But you want to watch with some of these items, especially the kombucha and the yogurt. They can be high in sugar. And sugar, again, it's going to feed any bad bacteria. If you know that you're like, oh, I've tried sauerkraut, I've tried kombucha, but I just get really bloated and it makes me have a lot of digestive issues, that's a big red flag that you have a big dysbiosis issue or you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria because what's happening is those good probiotics in there, that any sugar that's in there is really disrupting the dysbiosis you have going on. So if you know that, we want to meet.
AKA puffer belly. If you get a puffer belly and you feel like you're always just super bloated, that means you've got an increased intestinal bacterial overgrowth of some sort. And so drinking kombucha and eating healthy food isn't going to kill that off. Right? So, and sometimes depending upon what kind of bacteria it is, even though it's healthy, it could feed it.
Yeah.
Right? So getting tested is super important there.
Yeah. So fiber, one more thing, fiber and prebiotics. So fiber feeds the good bacteria. So we want to add in lots of good fruits and vegetables, lower sugar fruits, but getting more of those good things into our diet. And protein again helps heal up the cells in our digestive tract lining, helps heal a damaged gut. So that's where the bone broth comes in. It's got the protein, the collagen proteins in it, and it's got good fat. If you're making it from scratch with good soup bones from pasture-raised animals, or if you're getting the bone broth proteins now, it's got the good protein. You can make a really great gut healing smoothie with that. So the Max Living Advanced Plan. You guys should have all gotten this book. It goes over what we call the advanced plan. Now that is especially for people that you're having digestive issues. You have a chronic health condition like diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease. Even if you're struggling with mental health, you want to go on the advanced plan for a period of time. And what that is no grains, no gluten. Max Living does have good quality dairy in there, but we recommend, when we say advanced plan, not doing dairy because so many people just have a hard time with digesting the casein protein and how that can interact with even our neurotransmitters and things. So we just recommend avoiding dairy when going on the advanced plan and dealing with bigger health issues that you're trying to get under control. And it's no sugar, very low sugar fruits, only Granny Smith apples and berries.
So if you want, as a patient, you should all have this book. And so if you go to, it's in Appendix B. It's on page 167. If you write that down, go home tonight and read up on both of these particular plans. I live my life in the advanced plan pretty much all the time. I don't really have a lot of grains, don't have a whole lot of dairy. And so this is a really, really good, a challenge. It's a great thing to start. And then she's going to talk about the core plan as well.
Yeah. So then the core plan is, it's great if you're just trying to stay healthy, if you're trying to get your kids on a healthier eating plan. You can have full fat, good quality dairy. So it should be organic, should be from grass-fed, pasture-raised cows. You can have some whole grains, ancient grains. Want to make sure again that they're organic, so we're avoiding the glyphosate pesticides. lots of fruits and vegetables. They recommend some more higher carb and higher sugar fruits and vegetables. Those are allowed. One of the important points that it goes over in the book is having those earlier in your day. You know, your biggest meal, usually you should start your day with that, or if you're intermittent fasting, you know, you have that your first meal whenever you're breaking your fast. And then as you get closer to the end of your day and bedtime, you should be having fewer and fewer carbs.
The core plan is Appendix A, right? So Appendix A and Appendix B. Homework, go home, take a look at those. Just really, really awesome. And this is kind of, you know, if my kids are going to have some, you know, bread with their eggs in the morning, it's like Ezekiel bread, things like that. You know, every once in a while, if I want to put some full-fat, heavy whipping cream in my coffee, making sure that it's like 100% grass-fed, right? So just because it's dairy doesn't mean it's good dairy, right? Not all dairy is created equal, okay? You are what you eat eats. You are what you eat eats, okay? So you have to understand that. So that's a big deal. So no supplementation is the best supplementation, right? If we could get all of the nutrients that we needed from our foods, amen. Like, I'm just awesome. And I think there was a point in time when we could do that, right? 3,000 years, you know, and everything was pure, and, you know, the grains were just amazing, and we didn't have like 15 million different types of hybridization of grains. There was just grain, and it was sprouted, and the gluten content was super low. But now we are seeing people, I mean, young babies, toxic from the day that they're born, and just so we have to have certain types of supplementation on a daily basis for the rest of our life to be able to have the recommended types of dosages in order to be able to have the kind of health that we need to minimize, what are we never going to get rid of? What was that again? Stress, right? So in order for us to manage and minimize how we adapt to stress, we have to supplement. So over the next 28 days, like, we put together kind of like a gut health bundle. What's coming up in the next few months? All the bad times when you fall off the wagon, right? So when's the best time, do you think, to prepare your gut? Right now, right? So getting your gut to the point where it can be healthy, it can be vibrant, so that way you can be able to maybe afford to have a few cheat meals here or there. You know, more cancer, more heart disease, more strokes, more heart attacks during the holiday season than any other season ever. Do you know why? Stress and food. Stress and food, right? So that brain-body connection. So Dr. Stephanie is going to go through the big ones that we put together that are really, really good for your gut.
Yeah, so these are all focused on doing kind of a gut reset. I think anybody, whether or not you're having big health symptoms, digestive systems, once or twice a year will really benefit from doing a good gut reset, because let's be honest, we all have pizza every so often, we have our beer, we have lots of sugar at times. We're predisposed to having a dysbiosis. And it just depends on if we do things to help reset our gut and get it back into a healthy state, or if we ignore it and kind of let it spiral out and don't address it. So this is going to help do a gut reset. All the supplements that we go over, if you're on medications, they don't interfere with any medications. If you take thyroid medication, that's something that's always recommended first thing in the morning before you take other supplements. So keep that in mind. If you have specific questions, you can always ask me later, but these are fine to take with any medications that you might be on. So Max GI, as we, I think, kind of hinted at, when you have a dysbiosis issue, when you have bad bacteria or yeast that have become overgrown, that are now outnumbering the good bacteria, just taking a lot of good probiotics is not going to push them out. Just improving our diet and cutting out sugar is not going to kill them off. We need to take something that's going to help kill off those bad bacteria. That's what Max GI does. It's got some oregano, some really good herbs in it that are going to help to kill off any bad bacteria that's started to become overgrown. It's best to take that first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Gut renew. This is where we're repairing. We say when you have a gut issue, we always want to remove the bad bacteria, repair the damage, replace and recolonize the good probiotics. So gut renew is our repair. It's got glutamine, which is an important amino acid for healing and repairing. It's got a lot of other nutrients like aloe and slippery elm that are really soothing to the gut. They help build up that mucosal layer that's supposed to be there to protect our gut lining. That you can take by itself, just add it in water. It's got a peach flavor. If you don't happen to like the flavor of that, you can always throw it in a smoothie and get all the good nutrients that way. Pure Path Fiber. This is a great way to get more fiber in your diet. Fiber is going to help to recolonize and feed the good bacteria in your digestive tract. It also helps good, healthy bowel movements. You have to be going to the bathroom regularly to be getting toxins and waste out of your system, to be getting rid of the bad bacteria that we're killing off, and increasing fiber in your diet will do that. This is great to just add to your smoothies. If you like a thicker smoothie, especially like more the milkshake kind of texture, this will help get your smoothie there by adding it.
They say rule of thumb, every meal you have, you should have a bowel movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about that in your life right now, right? So if you're eating 3 or 4 times a day, you should have close to 3 to 4 bowel movements a day. Okay, so that's just, I'll let you, think about that.
All right, Claire Labs Complete Probiotic. Many of you, if you're patients, may already be taking this probiotic. It's great. It's a higher dose probiotic. It's got 25 billion colony-forming units in one capsule. Typically, we recommend just once a day. If you're doing a gut reset, you should take 2 capsules a day, or you could do it as 1 capsule twice a day, because we really want to just bombard your digestive tract with lots of good probiotics. One question I get asked a lot about with probiotics is, can I keep them out of the refrigerator? So what we recommend doing is, if you have like your 7-day pill counter, you can fill that up with your probiotics and then put it wherever it's easiest for you to remember to take it, but leave that bottle in the refrigerator. It's fine if you have like a week's worth sitting out at room temperature. You just don't want to have it in your hot car or somewhere where it's going to get really hot. But if you forget it because it's in the refrigerator, get yourself a pill counter, put them in there, and then put it somewhere where you'll remember to take them every day. All right.
So this is the Gut Health Bundle that we put together. And so our goal with this was that, hey, I don't really know if I have gut issues, but I want to kind of do a gut reset. The holidays are coming up. I just know that, through all the stress of COVID, and I'm just, or I just want to bulletproof my immune system as I go into the holidays, because I don't know about you, but I don't know when this is going to stop. And so I think one of the best things that we can do is try to bulletproof ourselves as much as possible. So what we've done is we put together a Gut Health Bundle. Like in your packet, you can actually mark this, and we're doing 20% off today only. So don't come back in 2 weeks from now and say, I want that Gut Health Bundle. So today is 20% off. You can get this entire bundle. And then if you need individual stuff, so if you're a patient here or if you're not a patient and you need some Therabiotic Complete individually, I believe they're 10% off, okay? But as a bundle themselves, most of you in the room don't have all these because I don't always sell these to patients. This is just a Gut Health Bundle itself. So make sure that you check that and then drop that off at the front before you leave. We do have a limited time our products here that you could take home tonight. Once that sells out, you'll have to pick those up when you come in for your adjustments, and we've got a lot in the back. That make sense? Okay, 20% off. Gut Health Smoothies. So who here tried the smoothie today? So who here liked the smoothie? Awesome. So everybody give Rebecca a warm round of applause here. So she was our smoothie maker. Everybody always asks me, what do you feed your kids in the morning? Right here. So I take what I promote. So our kids, the smoothie that you have is pretty similar to the one that I give our kids every single day. I'm in charge of smoothie. I do a Pure Path bone broth protein. It has no casein and no dairy, right? So it's from bone broth. My kids have some dairy allergies, and so the bone broth, we get all the benefits of a good, healthy, gut-building smoothie. Max Greens, who here feels like they get enough vegetables? Right, so these taste like chocolate, so they have raw cacao, so I put a couple scoops in our protein. I put some frozen blueberries from Costco, organic blueberries. I put some of the Valencia organic peanut butter from Costco, or almond butter. I may put a banana in there. I may actually add a little bit like a scoop of full fat coconut oil. And then I put so delicious, unsweetened coconut milk that you can also get from Costco into the smoothie, blend it, and it's pretty much like what you just tasted. My 3, 2, and 5-year-old all get a clean canteen full of it, and they love it. For the Gut Health Bundle, a lot of it's in powder form, so you can actually put it inside this smoothie in the morning. That way you don't have to worry about mixing it separately. A lot of supplements that we take as a family go inside this smoothie, because who here has a hard time giving your kids supplements? Because they see it. Well, they don't see it in a smoothie, so hide it here. It's a perfect thing to do. Just hide it in the smoothie. They don't know it's there. Make sense? The other thing that we're doing too is that Dr. Stephanie is here. Like I said, Dr. Stephanie is a pharmacist by day, and then she comes into our office and does some functional medicine stuff. That's her passion. Normally to meet with her, I don't know where you're at. Maybe you've had some questions about your gut, your health, maybe you're on some medications, maybe you're having just a hard time. You've been doing the 5 essentials, but yet you want to go a little bit deeper. Normally to meet with her for 30 minutes is $99, and you get a ton of information, but we're discounting that 20%. So if you want to meet with her, check the box, and she's actually going to be reaching out to you within the next couple of days to schedule a private consult. And maybe that's a time when you can just kind of lay it out to her. Hey, I've been having some more private things that you don't want to really bring up here. Maybe you want to get tested. We've got all the different tests, blood, urine, and she's got all that background to be able to read the test and the biochemistry to be able to do that. Like I said, if you're on medications, and you want to get off those medications, it's a blessing to be able to have a pharmacist here who can help us get off those in a safe and effective manner, which is something that we don't see all the time, right? So, and she's super, super on board with health. Like everything that we do in this office, her and her kids do, right? She's a wealth of knowledge, and so just that consult alone is super, super powerful. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. I just want you to know as a patient you have this. Who here knows that you have this? Who here has ever seen this? As a patient, you should have this. Every single one of you have it. This is called Max T3, right? This is your exercise that we give you, right? So exercise is super important for digestion and for your gut health. Why? Well, research says that those who exercise on a regular basis, you have more mobility, more motility of your digestive system tract. So you go to the bathroom more often, right? So those of you who are constipated, you're not going to the bathroom, and maybe you're more toxic. It's a great way to be able to sweat. Sweating is a detoxification method through your skin. And so if you're finding that you're having unhealthy skin, if you're feeling like you're holding on to more excess body weight, if you feel like you've been doing some dietary stuff and you feel like you've hit a plateau, anybody ever feel like that's where you're at? But hands down, we'll do all kinds of diets. Everybody will hit those diets and do really good. And they're like, Dr. B, I'm not losing any more weight. And I'm like, are you exercising? And they're like, oh man, I just don't want to do that part, right? So Max T3, all you have to do is go to maxt3.com and type in this coupon code, and you get access to like online videos. Have you ever heard of like T25 or like with Les Mills, right? It's very similar, but it was made for busy people who don't have an hour to work out, okay? My wife, myself, 20 minutes maximum, and our kids are, playing with our dumbbells and dropping them on their feet, like my 2-year-old did the other day. And so this is a quick and easy way to be able to get exercise without having to break the bank, right? Or a lot of gyms, sometimes it's like they're not even open, right? So this is a great way to do that. So make sure that you go home tonight, and if you have not gone to maxt3.com and you're a patient and check this out, bring your questions to us. I'm actually in this video. I helped create this video series. So you'll see me like 10 years ago with longer hair. I look 14. And so it's really interesting when you see me in this video. But Max T3 and exercise is vital for oxygen going into the cell to detoxify and for good healthy digestion. So let's talk about chiropractic for a second. I think oftentimes we forget about the brain-gut connection. So if you're a patient here, this is just kind of a recap. Why do you get adjusted? If you're a patient, I ask that question a lot. Why do you get adjusted? If you're getting adjusted because you're in pain, you're missing it, right? So every time I adjust your low back, I may make your low back feel better, but I also make your digestive system work better. because there are nerves that go to your digestive system. Every single time you get your neck adjusted, and you're like, wow, my neck's moving better. I can drive better in my car. I don't feel like I got the cricks and the cracks. Well, your thyroid's working better. Your heart's working better. Your sinuses are working better. So Christopher Reeves is a perfect example that, you know, your nervous system isn't just about feeling good and having more range of motion. But when he fell off the horse and he broke his neck, what happened to the organs and the ability for him to feel his fingers and his toes? Stop. What a lot of people don't know is that his heart shut off, his digestive system shut down, his lungs shut off. Like, his organs began to become dysfunctional because the signal from his brain was cut off. Okay? In chiropractic terms, that's what we call subluxation. So if you're a patient and you have subluxation at your neck, you may not have, your heart may not be shutting off. Maybe you've got blood pressure issues, right? Maybe you've got dizziness. Maybe you've got vertigo. Maybe you've got depression or anxiety. If you've got subluxation in your low back, maybe you've got constipation, right? Maybe you've got polyps. Maybe you've got problems going to the bathroom or infertility, right? Because the signal from your brain going to the rest of your body is, that was the way that God created our bodies to heal and to function innately. And when you mess with that system, your whole entire body goes into chaos. Does that make sense? And what happens when we put all these organs into the hands of the traditional medical system? You notice that we've got a doctor for each one of these systems. We've got a gastroenterologist, we've got a cardiologist, we've got we've got a pathologist, we've got a dermatologist. We've got a doctor for every single system in your body, but the one system that controls all the other systems, we don't go see that person until we need surgery. Think about that for a second, right? So that's why it is that chiropractic is vital on a regular basis. That's why we see kids. When's the best time you think it's to get adjusted? Take care of your nervous system. When you're a child, right? So that way you can maintain the health of that. Real quick story has to do with digestion and health. This is a patient in our office. She's 19 years old. Came to see us. She's 19 years old. She's 20 pounds overweight. She's got all kinds of skin issues. She's got migraine headaches. Who here's ever had or known somebody with debilitating migraines? So it's miserable. So, forget about working out. Forget about trying to, be happy and trying to be healthy because you just want to stay in bed the whole time. So she comes to see us and she's having all kinds of digestive system problems. And if you can't get toxins out of your body, remember what's connected to your gut?
Brain.
Your brain, right? So toxic gut equals the toxic what?
Brain.
So headaches. So we take an x-ray of her low back and she goes, I have headaches. Like, why are you taking an x-ray of my low back? All the other doctors I went to, they just focused up here. And I was like, well, your gut and your brain are connected. So I'm going to take an x-ray of your entire spine to see where the subluxation is at. So you're supposed to have this nice curve in your low back that looks like a banana at 45 degrees, right? This is the x-ray that we took of her in the beginning. She's negative 10 degrees in the opposite direction. So she's got a kink in her low back in the opposite direction. And so I said, look, right here, that's where your subluxation's at. It's pinching on the nerves that are feeding into your digestive system. So you could eat the healthiest diet on the planet, but if you can't digest your food, go to the bathroom, that's an expensive Whole Foods bill, right? When the bananas are already $25, right? So it can become expensive. So this is, after adjusting her, after doing her rehab and being diligent through care, after 6 months, this is the x-ray that I take of this 19-year-old. What's the difference that you see here? The curve. So her subluxation is gone, the pressure from her nervous system is off, the nerves are healing and functioning well, and guess what happens to her digestive system? She loses 20 pounds, right? Her migraine headaches are gone, her skin begins to clear up. Why? What is toxic skin? Toxic gut, right? If I've got to expel toxins out somehow, right? And I've got to do that through my skin, right? So this is a 19-year-old. What happens if we leave that there? Gets worse, right? So if you're here today and you're a guest, right? People always ask me, so what are the warning signs of subluxation? Or maybe you're a patient and you're like, you know what? Maybe I've slipped off some of my care. Maybe I've kind of put my home care to the side. I'm not really being as diligent as what I think, and maybe some of these are starting to resurface. Think about that before you do a gut cleanse. Before you spend $1,000 on supplements or whatever. Take care of the one system that controls all those systems. Does that make sense? infections, constipation, sleep problems, eczema, allergies, acid reflux, fatigue. These are all signs that you have neurological tension and the signal going to the rest of your body is being affected. So if you're a guest, we've got that sheet that you can fill out, put your contact information on there, and stop at the front and see Jess in the back with a ponytail. She's waving her hand, and she'll actually talk to you about that appointment. It takes 30 minutes. It's very easy. We'll take a set of x-rays. If you're here and you've got family, if you're a patient, and you've got family that wants to be checked, let Jess know, and we'll get them in. So your first 2 visits are 60% off. So it's an amazing opportunity for you to kind of get the nervous system piece plugged back in. So as we begin to wrap up, we are done with the heady stuff. Okay, some action steps, right? So we're going to open it up to some questions. Okay, while we're doing that, if you want to get and purchase that gut health bundle, make sure you fill out that information on that sheet and hand them to the back. I do not want this massive backup of people that are asking for stuff. Okay. We've only got a limited amount of supplements here tonight. The rest of you, if you just fill out that sheet, we'll get them when you come in for your next appointment. Number 2, if you want to schedule a consult with Dr. Stephanie, it's 20% off. Check the box and she'll be reaching out to you privately and scheduling a consult. Like I said, she's got a full-time pharmacy job, 2 kids, and so her schedule is limited, but she does have some time over the next couple weeks to do that. If you want a new patient appointment, if you're a guest, fill out that nervous system evaluation sheet, drop it off with Jess up at the front, and she'll take care of you there. That make sense? Awesome. I've got some exciting news, okay? So I'm on a mission. Like I said, the more mandates that we come out with, I'm still trying to figure out why it is no one's talking about health. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, masks and all these different things, okay, fine. But the person under the mask, all the hand sanitizer, everything that they're spraying in our churches and our gyms, right? What are we going to do about health, right? So that's why we're having these conversations. For the next 5 weeks, I'm donating my time, right? Every single Monday night at 6:30, I'm going live on Facebook, right? So you don't have to be here. I just wanted to see your faces. That's why I made you come here tonight, right? I miss you. I miss the interaction. I miss people. I want to give hugs. Like this whole social distancing stuff is crazy to me. So communication is big. I think, we're meant to thrive in a pack, not to be loners, okay? But for the next 5 weeks, so starting next Monday at 6:30, tune into our Facebook, and I'm going to be going through the 5 essentials and how to strengthen your body naturally. So week number 1, I'm going to do just a breakdown of the 5 essentials. Week number 2, I'm going to talk about viruses. I'm going to talk about why they're good and why they're bad and why some people get them and some people don't. Should you be scared of COVID-19 or should you not? What should we do about this vaccine that's coming out? We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. In week 3, we're going to talk about cancer, right? Cancer's coming. Cancer Awareness Month is coming. We're going to talk about cancer. What are some things that we can do to fight and build our bodies naturally? Week number 4 is the nervous system. 5, we're going to talk about nutrition, detoxification. I might have Dr. Stephanie come back on, talk about that. And then week number 6 is nothing but fitness. We're going to talk about fitness. Myself and Dr. Steven, our other doctor in the clinic, we're going to be talking about fitness, some really quick and easy ways that you can implement fitness for your kids and for your family. So every Monday night, starting next Monday, 6:30, for about an hour to, about a half hour to an hour, we're going to be going Facebook Live. So please go on there. Do me a favor. Create a watch party, share this with friends. If you've got family that are like, I'm struggling with things to do with my kids and, my kids are at home, I don't know what to do for meals and prepping and I'm just, I'm stressing myself out. This is an amazing way to kind of build your body and your brain so you don't have to be freaked out. Connection, make sure you go to Facebook. If you don't like us, it's at Revive Chiro Life. So at Revive Chiro Life on Facebook. Instagram, and then anybody here listen to the radio still? Right, so does anybody know that I have my own radio show 6 days a week? Do you guys know that? So if you're in your car from 3 to 3:30 p.m., right, go to 880 a.m. Christian Talk Radio, and I've got my own radio show, right? So from 3 to 3:30. Also, I've got a podcast, so about 1,000 different episodes, heart disease, cancer, diabetes. Go to our website, revivechiro.com, click on our podcast. I'm on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can download these, listen to them in your car. You can, whatever you want. I have people that ask me, hey, Dr. B, what do I do about, blood pressure and cancer? I mean, I've already talked about it. There's an amazing resources there for you. We also have a metabolics page. So we've just created a metabolics functional medicine page where my wife and Dr. Stephanie are going to be kind of being some interactive things on a weekly basis, so make sure you go and like that. So we're done. We're going to open it up really quickly to some questions. Those of you who don't have questions and you have your sheet filled out, you're more than welcome to make your way to the back. Those of you who are going to do that, be respectful, be quiet for those of you who are still going to ask questions, right? So we're going to open up the floor for the next 5-6 minutes and answer any questions. Those of you who don't, you're free to go.
Stories, I'm a fool for your love.